Oh, this cable is still not connected. Hold on. Is it coming back? Yeah, it's coming back. Okay. Very good. All right, so we were here, and hopefully the streaming is all right. I think it is going to be all right. Can somebody just double check that it is all right? Now, what follows is that we're going to look at a little bit about this description in spatial case. And then soon there will be two class quizzes, one that is very, very difficult and one that is very, very easy. Let's see how it goes. So maybe there's a chance that we're going to get started in this class by 100% success rate. But we're going to learn that a little later today. Okay, so let's get started from the description of a particle. And this is a slide that is actually one-to-one copy from the previous course. And it's just saying that how is it we're going to describe that particle. And this is business as usual. Always we're using the body reference coordinate system. And with help of body reference coordinate system, oh, hold on. Oh, now I'm actually using a different kind of view. So I should use this view. Yeah, my mistake. Okay. So always we're using this body reference coordinate system. And the body reference coordinate system is the one that is attached to the body. So if the body translates, the body reference coordinate system will translate along. If the body will rotate, the body reference coordinate system will rotate along. So it's attached, it is welded to body. So it's always following the body, and it helps us to describe the particle within the boundaries of the body. Now, with help of body reference coordinate system, all the particles within the bound body can be described by using this equation. And you know how it goes. First we have here vector that describe the body translation with respect to global coordinate system. In planar case, this was a 2 by 2, which means vector of 2 components. In a spatial case, this is a vector of 3 components. No surprises, and these 3 components are translation in x, y, and z coordinate axis. That's about it. Then this is the one that is a clear, big difference between the planar and spatial case. And that's the one that is according to orientation, rotation of the body reference coordinate system with respect to global coordinate system. This will be 3 by 3 matrix, and it will be way more complicated to describe as comparing the planar case. And then that's what we're going to discuss today. And then the final component is vector u bar, that again is a vector consisting of 3 components. These 3 components are components along the the local x, y, and z coordinate axis. That's about it. Okay, now let's look at the first way that you're already familiar with to describe the body orientation with respect to global coordinate axis. That's called Euler Angles. We are not going to spend too much time in Euler Angles. Instead, we're going to refresh our mind. How was this method? And then we're going to move on to something that is more exciting for us. And that's what is more exciting for us is called Rodriguez equation. And that is the method that is using 4 parameters to describe the body orientation. 4 parameters. Again, this time, it is good you to know that because the body can rotate in 3 different ways. And I'm using 4 parameters. These 4 parameters are not independent, but they are coupled in a certain way. So they are not independent because 3 ways that the body can rotate, 4 parameters. So they are not matching. So I have to make them match. And how can I make them match? I can make them match by introducing some kind of constraint equation that are eliminating how these 3 parameters can be selected. So they are not completely independent, but they are dependent on each other. And that's the trick based on 4 parameters. All right. So the method that is using these four parameters is a Rodriguez equation, and then its variation called Euler parameters. Okay, but let's get started from the Euler angles. This is the business as usual. That's what we learned already last year, and we learned that Euler angles is based on three successive rotations. Successive rotation is key to understand the concept. How it goes? Well, the best way to understand this is that we have first two coordinate systems that are completely parallel with respect to each other. So I have here coordinate system x, y, and z, and then the coordinate system x bar, y bar, and z bar. Originally completely parallel. What I will do then is that I will take a hold on the z coordinate axis, and I'm going to introduce the amount of rotation that is this famous thing that I still remember what it is. Phi, psi, phi, phi. Is what? Psi. Phi, phi. This is called phi. Amount of phi. That's my first rotation. My second rotation, this is what is important. My second rotation takes place around once rotated coordinate system. So the coordinate system that is already once rotated, I'm going to introduce my second rotation. And my second rotation takes place around once rotated x coordinate axis. And the amount of rotation is theta, that I know. And then my final rotation again takes place around z coordinate axis, twice rotated z coordinate axis. And amount of rotation is psi. You're saying, yes, psi. You're happy with the psi. Okay, so it's amount of psi, and that's it. So that's the concept from the beginning to end. So then, what I will do mathematically is that I will describe each one of these rotations, and it's going to be quite simple because they resemble rotations in a planetary case. And then once I describe each one of these individual rotations, the final rotation matrix I can get by simply multiplying these rotation matrices together. Successive rotations always comes mathematically by multiplying the rotation matrix together. So first, second, and third rotation, that's how you can describe the one rotation to final rotation. Okay? So then how it goes? Well, it goes like this. You have here this previously described 3x3 rotation matrices. You multiply them together, and then you can have a relation between the final configuration and original configuration. What's this relation between the final and original? Well, those are these three rotations that we just described. Three rotations that are phi, theta, and psi. Whatever they are called. These notations. These are the three rotations that combines original and final configuration. Okay, that's the method. Now, we also discussed shortly last year that whatever we're using three parameters, we are facing mathematical difficulty. The mathematical difficulty is called singularity. Singularity is the general notation for this mathematical difficulty. In case of Euler angles, this singularity is called as a gimbal locking. So the gimbal locking is not like a mechanical lock that takes place, but is a description of rotations in three-dimensional space using Euler angles, and is configuration where two angles becomes parallel. Or maybe the best way to describe it is by looking at this. How can I put my drawings back here? Not. By looking at this gyro. Now, if these two out of the three axes becomes parallel, then the system becomes planar system. And then it's kind of eliminating the one motion possibility. And that's what is called gimbal locking. So it's again not a mechanical lock like something is locked, like not able to move. They're able to move, but it becomes difficult to recognize what rotation is what. And to understand it better, let's take a look at let's take a look at the two short videos where it explains what is a gimbal locking. Gimbal locking actually is very fundamental to understand. And again, comes from the fact that we are using three parameters. This singularity, this mathematical difficulty, always comes into play if you're using three parameters. And there's no way to avoid it. At least so far, no one has found a way to avoid it. Maybe you could be the first one that is finding the way to describe the rotation using three parameters, such the way that is not suffering from singularity. Or maybe even better, maybe in a spatial case, you can find a way that generalized coordinates are equal than the angular velocity vector. If you find this kind of way to describe that mathematically, that's a big deal. That would be a really big deal. So then you can, I don't know, you just let me know that. You come to my office. Of course, you will have my office. I will move someplace else. And then Rector will keep your doctor's degree in the same day for sure. And then professorship, of course. And then if you can hire me, then I can help you, make you some coffee. You know, this could be my job after that. Think about it. All right? Okay, so, but before that, let's look something else. All right, so here are the few animations, that tells what is a gimbal lock. So let's hope that I'm able to run this thing. Let's even better. Let's hope that my voice goes out. I mean this voice. Hopefully it's not too loud. No, this is something. Look at that. You hear anything? You can watch the full movie a bit later, but I'm just gonna move on to gimbal locking. Okay, here. Here, that's a gimbal lock. Okay, let's consider about the software packages. This was just a short explanation. Let's look at this one. You can watch the full story a bit later. This is a gimbal locking on Apollo 13.
spacecraft moves around when it's past the moon, the guy's top formed inside would be stable. The guy's top form was aligned on the ground before flight, and of course it would drift occasionally during the mission. To compensate for this drift, astronauts would realign their platform using star sails. But it still remained, and it still gave the astronauts information on their attitude in space. The information from these gyros is displayed on the flight temperature action indicator, more commonly known as the A-ball. So it's the fact that there are 3 gyros involved in the IME that make gimbal lock possible. The 3 gimbals account for the spacecraft's 3 axes of motion, its axes of pitch, yaw, and roll. Because the IME works in all 3 directions, any change in attitude or orientation at all is directed on the A-ball. The constant attitude information about these 3 axes gives the astronaut a very keen sense of exactly where they're pointing in space. But it's also something you can lose. The phenomenon of gimbal lock is one where the outer gimbal moves with the spacecraft to the point where it lies parallel to the inner gimbal. At this point, all 3 gimbal axes would be lined up on a single plane, and none would be able to move around their basic plane to resume normal orientation. In short, once the gimbals are lined up, they can't realign themselves to give you an orientation, and they become locked. It's
Not
conflict
mechanically.
between the angles of the gimbals that creates gimbal lock and prevents them from moving around to get out of that situation. The Apollo guidance computer was actually designed to prevent gimbal lock by giving the astronauts a warning when they approach that devastating alignment. However, it was possible still to fall into gimbal lock. This is what was happening on Apollo 13 when the spacecraft was wildly pitching and yawing around in the wake of the oxygen tank explosion, and that is why you hear repeat and read in the transcript astronauts yelling about walking gimbals. Losing their attitude in space would have made the entire situation on Apollo 13 just that much worse. The simplest way to avoid gimbal lock would have been to add 4 gimbals to the IME, just give it another reference one so that 4 would be able to align the same way. This is what Mike Collins actually asked for Christmas, jokingly, when he was orbiting the moon on Apollo 11. From his orbital vantage point, the man in Apollo 12 was trying to find a lunar model being on the surface, but every time he got close to gimbal lock, he had to stop, and that's why we wish we had a 4th gimbal lock. So I hope that clears up gimbal lock for you guys. If not, leave a question below and I'll try my best to answer it. But I also want to give you 2 quick book recommendations of things that would maybe explain it in a lot more detail. The first is Frank O'Brien's The Apollo Guidance Computer, which is everything you ever wanted to know about the Apollo Guidance Computer. It is a brilliant resource. And the second is How Apollo Flew to the Moon by Dave Woods. It is exactly what the title says. It is the details of how Apollo flew to the moon.
Okay, so you can have a further reading if you want. But, she was kind of implying that there is a mechanical lock, but this is, inability to recognize what rotation is what. Making us a planar gaze. That's pretty much what it is, in short. Okay, every time you're using 3 parameters, you have this singularity problem. And you simply cannot avoid it. You simply cannot. That's why we're going to move on to look at the ways we can actually not suffer from the singularities, and that requires the use 4 parameters. Okay, so prior to that, when using 3 rotational parameters, a problem is singularity, physical interpretation of parameters. Usage of 3 parameters is limited to small rotational 3 options. Okay, and let me put this socative on. I don't think that it is on at the moment, but momentarily it will. Quizzes, launcher quizzes here. This one. Okay, so this is it. So please lock in and select the one that is correct. Only one is correct. Now, statistically, the chances to get high score is very good because we only have 3 options, so still you're unable to lock in. Really? You guys enrolled the class? So you're all having that difficulty? Huh. So it's not just you guys, but all, everyone is having that difficulty. Did you log in by using your student ID number? You're unable to get in. So it's only 3 of you that is able to get in. How come is this possible? So is it because okay, I need to forget about this. I will get back to this next week. I was checking out, alright, so I need to just figure it out. What's the problem? because I should have your student ID number. I should have all the information, necessary information to do this enrollment to Socrates, but obviously I don't. Okay, forget about the in-class quizzes today. What I will do is that I will get back to this next week. I will ask this very same question next week, and hopefully you still remember what's the story about, rotations based on 3 parameters. Now, we're going to move on, and this is the last item that I will explain to you today. So we're going to move on to Rottiquo's equation. And Rottiquo's equation is now the different story. Completely different story, nothing whatsoever to do with the Euler angles. Completely different thing. How it goes? It goes this way. To understand this, I need to use a stick. Look at this. This place is so modern that there's no even a stick here. No stick? No. Okay. Then what else we could use? This I could use maybe a pen. Okay, so now the concept is quite simple. So ingredients to understand this concept is that you have to have 2 vectors. One that is your original vector. Let's call this as your original vector, this blue band. Now, what I would like to do is that I would like to set this original vector to arbitrary rotation in space, like say this particular rotation. And then I would like to move this vector to have another orientation in a space, which could be like this orientation in a space. I'm only looking at the rotation, no translation, but just rotating this vector here to here. How can I make it happen? Well, I can make it happen in such a way that another component comes into play. So this is my assisting component, this remote. And now this assisting component is a unit length vector. Now this is very important. So it's a unit length vector. This is having arbitrary length. This is a unit length. Now the unit length vector will be attached to my original vector, like shown here. Then they will be welded together such the way that they cannot separate it anymore. And then I will take a hold on from my unit length vector, and I will introduce amount of rotation that is theta. And then I will have my new configuration. So from original configuration, I will take my unit length vector, and I will introduce my rotation that is theta in amount, and I will have my final configuration. That's it. That's the whole concept from the beginning to end. Now the only challenge here is that we have to find a mathematical relation from my original configuration and my final configuration. And that will be made such the way that I have my unit length vector and then this rotation theta. Those will be my mathematical components. Here comes the thing, if the variables are angle theta and then the vector v, this unit length vector. This unit length vector in a spatial case consists of 3 parameters because that's what is needed in order to describe the vector. So 3 parameters. And then the angle theta. So that in total is 4 parameters. Because first 3 are associated to vector v, this unit length vector, its projection with respect x, y, and z axis. Those will be the 3, and then the theta will be my 4. Now I said earlier that if you're using 4 parameters, they are not independent, but they are somehow dependent on each other. This is a very difficult question, but if you know how they are related, I don't know what could have reward. Coffee, or I can offer you a coffee coupon. Coffee, I can offer you a free coffee if you know the answer for this question. So if you know, be almost a miracle. Almost a miracle. All right, so then let's look at the mathematics. So again, my target here is to find a relation between my original vector r and my final configuration vector r bar. And how they are related? Well, they are related in such a way that, what combines them together is a vector delta r. The delta r is the one that you can get the original configuration by having the final configuration plus delta r. Now my challenge here is to express this delta r that can be, well, it's not very visible, but let's try to make this bigger. This delta r is this component, this component. That's what I'm trying to express mathematically. To make that happen, I need to use a little bit of assisting vectors, and I'm looking at, okay, now I need to get off from that drawing. Okay, so to make that possible, I'm going to use two assisting vectors, and these two assisting vectors are B1, hold on, same that every now and then is B1 and B2. And now, they are very complicated to express mathematically. But what I will do is that I will simply use a little bit of shortcuts here, and I'm going to explain you how they will be. So I'm going to use this B1 and B2, and I'm saying this is how it's going to be. And they will be expressed by with help of the vector u bar. The vector u bar, when you look at this closely, the vector u bar, the vector u is actually described by using a tilde. We will get back to that tilde in a second, but it is just one particular way to describe a vector, or more particularly a vector, a cross product of two vectors. But I'm going to explain that to you a bit later. Are you, by the way, familiar with this notation, this tilde notation? Have you ever seen this before? This kind of notation. You haven't seen that before. No worries, I will explain that to you as well. But this is how the final results will look like. But how to get this final result? Now, shortly, now how it goes. Let's make this a bit bigger. Here. So it was all right in a. I just wanted to move to left hand side. There's something that I do wrong here. Okay, anyways, so these are the components, so B1 and B2. So the B1 first, I need to know, once I wanted to describe the vector B1, I need to know its length, and I need to know its direction. Length, I can get by simply using the sine of the A, and A is a radius of this circle here, and that can be expressed by using a cross product of vector R and vector V. And I know that this is very complicated, no worries, because I'm not going to ask anything like that in a written exam. I perhaps can ask a big picture. What are the ingredients? Remember, this original and this assisting tool, this is the level of difficulty that I might ask. But not about the B1 or B2, because this will be too difficult for you. So this will be the length, and the direction will be exactly the cross product of V and the V of R bar. And this is the one I'm not able to make the drawings here. Yeah, he's not going to cooperate with me, but that's how it goes. I make this just a length. I'm going to take the unit, or I'm going to take the length of the V vector and divide it by its original length. That's how it goes. So this is my B1, and I will do the same for B2, and the same thing for its length, and then its orientation, direction, and once I get it, then everything look like this. And this is my final relation, how this is delta R, and now this magical thing that I was mentioned earlier, how is this tilde? If you have a cross product of two vectors, they can be alternatively expressed by such the way that you will take the cross product and convert the first vector to be a matrix. Now I definitely need to use a drawing here. Originally, if you have vector R cross product with the vector B, this is how you can write it, so this is how it is, conventional way. Alternatively, you can do the same by expressing the vector r with help of skew-symmetric matrix. This is a mechanical thing you can do. And in a mechanical thing, you will take a component of vector r, and you can simply place that to off-diagonal components of 3 by 3 matrix. This goes here in a minus sign, it goes here in a plus sign, then you will take a second one, you put this one here in a plus sign, this one here in a minus sign, final one goes here in a minus sign, here in a plus sign. And this is called skew-symmetric form of a vector R. Okay? How this is different? No different than the cross product. This is just helping us to do the manipulation a little later. So it's a skew-symmetric form of a vector. And now, why we do that? Because we would like to express the cross product with using the matrix. That's how it goes. Okay. Now, back to the original thing here. So this was my R, and now how it finally looked like such the way that I can relate my vector R and my vector R bar. Again, let me put the drawing here. My R vector, a vector R bar vector. And what is a relation? Is a 3 by 3 rotation matrix. That all comes from that heavy mathematics. Now this is my 3 by 3 rotation matrix that is based on 4 parameters. How these 4 parameters are related? They are not completely independent. They are almost independent, but not completely independent. Answer is anyone. Give a shot. They are related, but how they are related? Look at the components that I have here in a vector. In this 3 by 3 rotation matrix, I have here this vector v, and then I have this theta. What about the components of vector v? Can I select them as I want? It's a unit length vector. I cannot because it's a unit in the length. So the length is limited. So there is 4 parameters and 1 constraint. And the constraint comes in the fact that we have to be unit in the length. So that's how they are related. So quite difficult question, but that's what I'm going to ask next week too. There will be another in-class quiz where I'm asking this again. Okay, so now, in summary, I have here 3 variables that are associated to vector v, 1 variable that is associated to angle theta, 4 variables, but not independent because the v is unit in a length. Got it? This is difficult. Really, really difficult. What this is called coordinates. This is a whole family of different mathematics that is called coordinates. And next week we're going to look a little bit about the details of this. We're also going to take a look about the Euler parameters, and then that's it. That's when we're going to leave the 3-dimensional kinematics and we're going to move on to flexible multi-body dynamics. How that sounds? Do you still find a way out from this lecture room? This is quite difficult. This is super difficult. But anyways, so this is how it is related. So this is my constraint equation, because remember I said that the vector v is a unit in the length. So it means that if I take a components of vector v and take them power 2, the results have to be equal to 1. So that's my constraint equation. So they are not free to have any values they want, but they are constrained because of this one constraint equation. Okay. Now, when I'm selecting another set of description of rotation in 3-dimensional space, another one that is based on 4 parameters, there's always another constraint, maybe a little bit of different form, but they're not free to move however they want, but they're always constrained. Why? Because the body can rotate in 3 different ways. Not in 4 different ways, but 3 different ways. Make sense? Can you do this? So it makes sense? You happy? You sad? Are you coming back? You coming back? Nice. All right, so the break was shorter than 15 minutes, so let's close for the day. And then next Monday, we're gonna move on to flexible multibody dynamics. Before you're leaving, this is what I'm planning to ask. In Rodriguez equation, rotation is described by 4 parameters. These 4 parameters are coupled because theta is small, vector v is unit in the length. We are assuming the body to be rigid. Parameters are not coupled because a body can rotate in 4 different ways. What is correct? B is correct. All right, so this is your charger. So let me close the recording.